My M30 wife, F26, has returned 1 year after leaving to find herself. How stupid am I for considering taking her back? My wife and I got married 6 years ago. I proposed to her after 4 months of dating, and we were married 3 months later. You could call it quick, and I'm not saying it wasn't, but it felt right. So it was me, my wife, and my son, who is now 8. Things were great. We found out we were expecting our first child together, and we were over the moon. Sadly, our baby was stillbirth, and that started the fast decline of our relationship. It sent her into an extreme depression. It was like nothing could help it, and I was watching my beautiful wife die while still being perfectly physically healthy. By the next few months, instead of waking up to her next to me, I woke up to a note of her telling me she was going to clear her head. 1 week, no response. Before I knew it, she came back and retrieved half of her stuff. I was blocked on everything. It hurt, you know? I lost my baby, and my wife left me in a matter of 2 months. I went into a pretty deep depression while also having to shun it away from my son. Things were hard. I was pretty much on autopilot and became severely underweight. It just started feeling good, getting back into society with closer connections to good friends. My wife never came back during that time period, and I was just wondering when I would be hit with the divorce papers. And you want to know what showed up at my doorstep at 5 a.m. this weekend? My wife. There were so many things I wanted to say to her. I wanted to know if she was okay. I wanted to beg her to come back, but at the same time, I wanted to tell her to leave and never come back. She came in and said that she spent the last 8 months 300 miles away and said she wanted to work on us. I smiled. We almost slept with each other. And then I took a long, good look in the mirror, and I couldn't believe how stupid I was being. She came back expecting me to welcome her back with open arms, and that's exactly what I did. I empathize with her deeply, and I saw how bad everything affected her, but 1 year? It felt unforgivable. I told her she needed to leave, and now we're here, and I'm on Reddit, asking, how do I proceed? Update. For the people that want the short answer, I'm not going to try to work things out with my wife. Let me explain. I saw many comments suggesting that she had been dating or hoeing around, even some indicating that she'd gotten pregnant. False. Like she said, she wants to heal, and I believe her. Because when I tell you she was depressed, I mean it got to a point where I had to make sure someone was in the house at all times just to make sure she didn't take her life. And I don't feel like arguing on that topic with people that don't know her. I had been thinking too fairy tale-like when I saw her. Probably because that's how our story has been. Fell in love quick, married young, and thought it was together forever. When I'd seen her for the first time in such a long time, I saw my wife. The woman I fell in love with, my best friend and my life partner. That's who I instantly saw. But one quick good look in the mirror and a few days of thinking about it got me realizing that the same woman I married was not the same woman who left me. This past year has taught me a lot, and I had to think back to how I was feeling the previous day before she showed up. I felt very good that past day. I spent the day with my son before dropping him to his mom's. I went to a bar with friends and slept peaceful at my own home. My wife had not crossed my mind at all the entire day. I'd been happy beyond that past day. There is only one other person in my life right now that I need, my son. He's the reason I keep going every day. And for the quick moment I considered trying things out with my wife, it was incredibly selfish towards him. I mentioned this before, but he truly is a great boy. I still have love for her, and I'm happy that she's alright, but we're over. I told her this. We went out and spoke about everything for hours. We finally cleaned out everything from the nursery. She got most of her stuff. She'll be back soon to get the rest. She'll always be a part of my story. There's no erasing her or the love we had. What we had was magical at one point, but our story together ends at divorce. As for me, life's only moving, and I gotta make the best of it. So far, I have been, and it's been going good. Story number 2. Am I wrong for ending a 20-year marriage because I learned my wife cheated on me while we were dating? My wife, 44F, and I, 43M, have been married for 20 years. We started dating in high school when I was a junior and she was a senior. We were long distance for her first 2 years of college while I was in high school, and did 1 year at community college. Then, we went to college in the same city for a year and have lived together since. We got married the summer after I graduated college. Our marriage has been pretty great so far, but I initiated a divorce. after I discovered that she was sleeping with multiple other men for the 2 years we were long distance. Just after Christmas, we got together with a few friends of hers from college to catch up, have dinner, and hang out. We talked about a lot of stuff, and my wife mentioned that we met in high school, not that we dated, just that we met. Her old college roommate commented that it was crazy that we met in high school and had a few wild years in college, then ended up together. I played along and commented that I didn't know if my wife was as crazy as I was. The room started to tell a story, but my wife cut her off and said she was uncomfortable about it. I sensed something was up. So I said that we actually started dating in high school and were together for my wife's entire time in college. All of my wife's friends got real quiet, and the rest of the dinner was awkward. On the way out, one of her other roommates took me aside and said I should have an honest conversation about what happened at college. I asked my wife on the way home, and she kind of blew me off. I told her it was important that she was honest with me, and again, she said it wasn't important. When we got home, I told her I was going to stay at my brother's house until she was ready to talk about what happened in college. The next day, she came over and admitted to sleeping with several men during her first 2 years at college. She said she didn't consider it a big deal at the time because we were long distance and she didn't think a high school romance would last. I pressed for more details and she said it was at least 10 different men, including at least 3 guys she introduced me as friends when I came to visit on weekends, and one guy she was still in contact with. So I told her that I wanted a divorce and would be starting the paperwork as soon as I could, which I did on January 2nd. Her family and most of my family is telling me I shouldn't throw away my marriage over a few mistakes. I've stood by my belief that cheating on me with multiple men for years is unacceptable, no matter when it happened. And the fact that she continued to maintain relationships with these guys right in front of me was an unacceptable amount of disrespect. We have 2 children, but they are 17 and 19, and I believe they will understand why I need to end the marriage. Am I wrong for leaving her? I feel like I'm going crazy with the amount of people telling me to look over the years of infidelity and decades of lies. Edit. Holy crap, I'm glad I did this with a throwaway account because the response here is unexpected. I obviously can't answer every question/comment, but I wanted to provide some detail for common questions. The reason I posted this is that my wife and a few friends have been saying it's common to sleep with other folks when you're in a long-distance relationship, and that I'm kind of the odd one out for not sleeping around. I felt like I was being gaslit, but I wanted an outside perspective. We live in a state with a waiting period to finalize a divorce, so I felt it was a reasonable idea to get some insight before things are finalized. After these comments, I see a handful of folks saying it's normal to sleep around during a long-distance relationship, but it seems to be a significant minority. Next, we saw each other a couple of weekends a month during the 2-year college period. I lived about 3 hours away from her college, so it was long distance, but not like cross country. This was not a situation where we went months without seeing each other. Continuing, the 3 guys I met while she was in college were meetups that happened during parties. The subject of me being a boyfriend didn't really come up, so I honestly don't know if these guys knew anything. Next, the one guy we're still in contact with married a mutual friend from college. This is not some guy she secretly messages on the side. It's somebody we have talked to frequently for years. I've talked to him a few times since I've learned about my wife. He said he didn't know we were dating at the time and has since blocked my wife on social media. Also, some folks have asked how the roommates didn't realize at our wedding that the timeline didn't work out. The main reason is that my wife and I had a very small ceremony with just close family in Texas, then went back to the East Coast to have a big party with friends. The typical reception/sharing details about how we met stuff didn't really happen, so her roommates didn't realize we started dating before college. It sounds like they thought we only dated for the year we were both in the same city, then moved in together. Additionally, I was open to therapy or some kind of attempts to save the marriage, but her insistence that this whole thing is common and I'm the one who's out of line is just too much for me. The only time she showed any remorse or even offered to reconcile is when I started filing paperwork. In the last week, she's gone back to saying she's right and I'm overreacting. This is also why I feel like I'm being gaslit. It seems obvious that this is a major issue, but I've got my wife and others telling me it's normal and I'm overreacting. Finally, I'm not getting any paternity tests unless my kids want to get one. I don't have any doubts that they are biologically mine, and no test will make them not my kids. I love them more than anything in the world, and my wife's infidelity won't change that, even if one or both of them is not biologically mine. They have been my kids for 19 years, and they will be my kids until I stop breathing. Final edit. Hey everyone, I've been reading a bunch of the responses, but things are getting crazy and increasingly unhinged, so I probably won't be checking in more. Here are a few more answers to common questions I've seen. We were definitely exclusively dating at the time. First, dating culture was a lot different 20-ish years ago, and exclusive was kind of the default for most people. Second, we had a long and difficult discussion before she left for college about continuing the relationship long distance. She specifically said she wanted to stay together, and even joked about her dad coming after me if I started sleeping around with girls at my school. Finally, at my senior prom, she was not able to attend and was very upset when I proposed going with a platonic female friend of mine. As a result, I ended up skipping my prom and hanging out with her instead. While we never said the word exclusive, I think the above reasons, combined with the general relationship before she left, are enough to assume exclusivity. And based on some comments here, I followed up with the friend that said I should have an honest conversation. She told me that 10 guys would be on the low end, and that her biggest concern was that there was apparently at least one pregnancy scare that I didn't know about. I honestly don't think that really changes much. It's less about the number for me and more about the fact that she seems incapable of recognizing why this was wrong or why I feel betrayed. Thank you all for the helpful responses, even those that disagree with me. I will still be open to therapy if she's willing, but I honestly feel like it would be more about us being successful co-parents and finding closure rather than saving our marriage. Oh, this lady messed up. She could have maybe saved and salvaged this marriage, but then she got to gaslighting central and continued her gaslighting, manipulating subscription and said, everyone does it. No, I get it. If you want to have the college experience where, you go around, you meet people, you sleep around, it happens. But you can't have the college experience and the relationship experience. Otherwise, the truth comes out eventually. And yeah, that's what happened here. Next story. Story number 3. Am I wrong for telling my husband the only way I will agree to a paternity test is if he schedules it? I, 30F, have been married to my husband, 36M, for 5 years. I am currently 4 months pregnant. This wasn't a surprise pregnancy. We planned it and actively tried to get pregnant. So it came out of left field when a few weeks ago, my husband told me he wanted a paternity test. I asked him how or why he thinks I'm cheating on him. He said he didn't think I was. But that absolutely makes no sense. I asked him to explain how this child could not be his if he is the only person I slept with, and I didn't cheat on him. He had no answer for that. I was a mess for a few days afterwards. Once I calmed down, I told him that if he wanted to get the test, then he could schedule it and tell me where and when to be there. He asked me if I could be the one to make the appointment. I told him no. He is the one questioning the paternity, so he can make the appointment. He tried explaining again that he wasn't questioning paternity, he just wants to have reassurance. I told him I don't care anymore about his explanations, but if he wants to have reassurance, he can do the legwork. He asked if I could at least find a number for him to call, and I told him no. I still have no idea why he thinks I am that kind of person. I haven't done anything to betray his trust. But it has been at least a week, and he hasn't made any appointment, and last time I asked, he told me he was working on it. His sister came over this morning after he left for work and told me that she was told everything and that I need to just put him out of his misery and do the test. I told her I would take the test, he just had to schedule it, and then she told me I was being a B-word for not just making the appointment myself. But I am not the one who is questioning who the baby's father is. I don't think I should have to make the appointment, but I want to get an impartial opinion before he comes home today. He cheated. Does anyone else think that the husband cheated? Because his behavior is a little suspicious. We've seen some similar behavior like this before and it ends up cheating. But he wants her to take the test, but he won't make it or schedule it. Just do it. And then the sister comes in and says she knows what's going on, but won't elaborate, and then says OP's being a B-word about it. Girl, you schedule it then. What? Maybe you're not his sister. You ever think about that? Go schedule your paternity test for brotherly sisterlyhood, jerks. I hate this story makes me irrationally angry. Next story. Story number 4. Am I wrong for refusing to let my mom move into my home after retiring? I, 32F, bought a 2-bedroom house last year that perfectly suits my needs. My mom, 60F, is now retiring and wants to move from my childhood home to my city. She asked if she could have my extra bedroom to move in with me instead of getting her own condo. I love my mom, but declined. I don't want to give up my guest room and personal space. My mom got upset, arguing family should live together. She wants to be closer to me, and I'm being unreasonable by not letting her move in. I suggested helping her look for an affordable 55-plus community instead, but my mom won't entertain any other housing ideas. She insists I have plenty of room and should want her to live with me in retirement. She says I am abandoning her in her time of need. I feel guilty, but I'm not ready to have my mom move in at 32 when I finally have my own place. My brother thinks I'm selfish for not supporting mom's plan, but I don't think her retirement means I have to give up my privacy in my own home. Am I wrong? So OP doesn't mention if she lives in the US or some other country where there is a cultural thing involved, because in some cultures you do take your parents in, so maybe that's something we're not seeing here. But regardless if there is a cultural aspect to the story or not, I can understand not wanting to have your mom move in, right? You want your privacy, but also maybe the mother is lonely or something like that. She says she's in her time of need, but doesn't elaborate if there's anything like actually going on. OP also doesn't mention if dad is around or if mom is married to anyone, so maybe it's like a thing of loneliness. I don't know. I can only surmise from like the 2 paragraphs we got, but that's what I think. Maybe loneliness or something unresolved, that she doesn't want to be alone. But what do you guys think? What can you surmise? Next story. Story number 5. Am I wrong for giving my friend freezer meals after she gave birth? My 28F friend, 30F, had a baby a week ago, and before she returns home, my husband, 49M, and I decided to give her and her husband, 30s, freezer meals for approximately 6 weeks. We decided to give them that because when we had our baby 6 months ago, my stepdaughter gave us freezer meals for a few weeks and it was a great help. My friend loved that detail and was delighted to have food prepared by my husband for more than a month. Because whenever my friends come home, he is the one who cooks and everyone loves it. But for the rest of our friends, the fact that we did that was invasive because that's something that their family is supposed to do, and we are not their family. I know that we're not their family, and it was never my intention to invade their privacy or want to replace their family. We just wanted to help like my stepdaughter helped us. My husband and I spent many days planning the meals and desserts we were going to cook for them, and it makes me feel so bad that someone thinks we are just invading their privacy or that giving them that was tacky, because that's what some of our friends said it was. Am I wrong for giving that to her and her husband? What is this story? Here is free food, you've invaded my privacy? Hey, I'm going to give you meals, you've disrespected me? What? Excuse me? If someone takes you out to lunch, I say thank you. Wow, that's awesome. But is this another cultural thing I'm not seeing? Are there more details we're not missing here? Because otherwise, are these people stupid? You just got free food and you're mad about it? Nah, you just had a baby. That's stressful. That's tough. Now you're gonna, you know what? Leave it there anyway. Wait 6 months and they're gonna be like, wow, that was actually really helpful. We're so glad you gave that to us, because having a baby's hard and they're gonna learn the hard way. Next story. Story number 6. Am I in the wrong for breaking up with my boyfriend without discussing it? I, 26F, got my dog, Kara, 4 years ago. My neighbor at my old building was giving her away because he couldn't care for her anymore. He's 84. I took a chance, and she is now my best friend and fur child. I started dating Colin, 29M, 2 months ago, and it's been pretty great. We have similar tastes in things. He's nice and funny, etc. When I told him about Kara, he said he loves animals. Colin's been at my house every week and has always been nice, but not super comfortable with her. He'd make comments like, wow, she's a shredder, or wow, she's got a big bark, but then pet her and smile. He asked for her not to be in my bed while he was there, which I thought was reasonable. Last week, Kara jumped on the couch to cuddle and got fur on his clothes, and he flipped out and told me he couldn't do this, and if I wanted a future with him, it couldn't include her. I got a box, packed up everything he had at my house, and calmly told him to close the gate on his way out. He started yelling that I'm immature for not even discussing it, and I told him, 1, I will never pick anyone over my dog, and 2, I don't do ultimatums. When I told my parents and mutual friends what happened, most told me he was out of line for asking me to choose, but I could have at least had a rational discussion about it. I thought that after he gave me an ultimatum after 2 months and then screamed at me, rationality had already flown out the window. But I don't have a lot of experience with relationships, so maybe I could have done it in a better way. So OP is well within her right to leave her boyfriend if she wants to. You can do that at any time that you want to, but I am someone who is very pro-communication, so she could have said, hey, it's over, or just at least communicated it, I think, but I'm not gonna lambast her or berate her. But also, did she mention at the start of the relationship that she will never pick anyone over the dog? Did she say at the start of the relationship or allude to it at any point that she doesn't do ultimatums? Because it sounds like she mentions that the boyfriend just brought up her deal breakers. But does the boyfriend know these are her deal breakers? I'm also not excusing him flipping out, but it doesn't seem like he likes dogs, so I don't know. Again, I don't think she's the a-hole here, but I feel like just communication would have made it better, and then I don't think anyone would have complained. But anyway, what do you guys think? Next story. Story number 7. I caught my girl cheating by watching her security cameras. So I found out the girl I was with was cheating by watching her security cameras. I watched her get home with some dude around 8:30 p.m. and leave a little before midnight. What triggered me to look is that I found a Domino's receipt on the counter for way more food than one person could eat, and I went back through our messages, and the date happened to be a night she claimed she'd fallen asleep early with her ringer off. She says I invaded her privacy, and now I'm the bad guy. I believe what I did is 100% acceptable because 1. They only show the driveway and front yard. 2. I only reviewed the time we were together because before that, that's none of my business. 3. I installed the effing thing and got the password from her. And 4, oh my god. Ah yes, classic caught cheater behavior. Classic cheaters playbook tactics 101. Going, oh, how dare you invade my privacy? Nah girl, how dare you betray our relationship? Don't play it off, accept what you did. But they usually don't, let's be honest. Did any of the cheaters in today's video accept what they did? I don't, hold on, let me check again. Yeah, no, none of them did. Okay, so what makes this any different? Nothing. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for helping us reach 10,000 subscribers. I can't believe it happened so fast. Now you're probably checking if we have 10,000 subscribers, which we don't. I lied to you. I pranked you. But anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.